This is also a mean question because I had to think about this. Hi, Mom. Mom just texted me in the middle of filming. Hello, everybody. My name is Kelsey, and we're about to get very, very nerdy with the Booktube Chat Tag. So this tag was created by my lovely friend Teresa Love here on Booktube. She also has a Bookstagram account. I will leave both those down below, obviously, because she's amazing and you guys should check her out. But this is her original tag that she created a couple of months ago, I want to say, and we were talking one day and she tagged me in it. So here I am doing it. But it's basically about Bookstagrammers who do Booktube and vice versa. I wouldn't consider myself a Bookstagrammer just because, like, I like Instagram a lot and I like to post on it and I like to do things, but like, I don't know, I feel like I wouldn't consider myself a Bookstagrammer. I'm more of a booktuber with an Instagram account, if that makes sense. But that is besides the point. So there are 10 questions in this tag and they are very fun questions. I had to do lots of soul searching for some of these, so feelings were had. But let's just get into it because this is such a fun tag and I can't not wait to do it. I even wore pink because it's one of Teresa's favorite colors, if not her favorite color. I wore pink for you, Teresa. It's the pinkest shirt that I own. It's not very pink, but here we go. So the first question is, what is your Instagram name? How many followers do you have? And how many subscribers do you have? So my Instagram name is bookishlynerdy_Kelsey. As always, linked down below if you are curious about it. But I only have 161 followers over there. Like I said, it's not very large. I like Instagram. Instagram is a lot of fun. I just don't think I'm good at it. But follow if you want to. But here on YouTube, I have a little over 1,000 subscribers because you guys are awesome. And like, we hit that a couple months ago. I don't know what's happening. You guys are fabulous. But that's kind of the numbers for me. But the second question is, what was a book or book series that started you or sparked your reading? And I've always said Harry Potter because that's the first series that I can remember reading, but I was really thinking about this for this tag, and I don't think there's actually a specific series. I think it's just because I've always been around books. My dad is an avid reader. He's also a big book collector, like myself. So I got it from him. I mean, my mother does read. We're a reading family, but like he's the collector. So I've always been around books. Books have always been part of my life. I honestly cannot remember a time when books weren't like a thing. So they've just always been around. So I've always been interested in reading. I've always done reading. That's not good grammar, but like I've always read. Like it's always been a thing. I've always been known as like the reader in my friend group or one of the readers in my friend group. It's always been a thing. I don't know life without reading because it's always been around. The third one is, what is your favorite thing about the book community? There are so many good things. But I think, at least with like my little section of the book community, is that everyone is so incredibly welcoming and like friendly. Even if you don't agree on like the types of books that you like, people are usually pretty understanding of that, or will be like, hey, I also didn't like that book, and then you don't feel so alone. So people are really supportive. I guess that's the word I'm looking for, is people are really supportive about the books that you want to read, or really anything that you are doing. People are just really great. I've been super lucky to have some really supportive people, and I also have some really awesome like people in real life, and I've met some really amazing people on Booktube. So like, I say supportive. Supportive is probably my favorite, being like part of this community. Everyone is really supportive of each other and just want to be there for you. And like, that's great. Like, I remember a few months ago when I got my current job and I mentioned it in a vlog, everyone was super, super happy for me. That felt awesome. You guys are great. That's basically what I'm saying. Okay, so this next one was me, and that is, what is your top 3 favorite books or books series? How dare you make me choose? So I went with In the Moment. These are my favorites. I'm sure they're gonna change. Also, how can I limit it to 3? Like, rude. So the first one I'm going to say is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, because I freaking love the story. I love almost all of the retellings. I just love this trope and the plot line and just seeing all the different retellings of it. Also, Jane Austen's amazing. So like, she has spurred a lot of things that I enjoy reading, whether it is romance, whether it is specific retellings, whether it is like Regency era, like learning about actual real life people. She is a big part of my reading life, so she had to be in here. I also wrote down, and I think it's just because I'm obsessed with the series right now, and that is The School for Good and Evil by Soman Chainani. How many times have I mentioned this before? Probably a lot. This is one of my top fantasies. I really, really love this middle grade series. It's fun, it's fantasy. They take, like, the trope of good versus bad and, like, flip-flop it on its head. It gives it a different, like, it gives the fairy tale fantasy vibe a new look, which I appreciate, and I feel like this series is really good for fall as well, because it gives you those atmospheric vibes. But I just really love this series a whole lot. I think I like the second half better than the first half. I think that's still true, but I feel like I'm known for this series because I talk about it so much, so it's gotta be up there. And then the last one is The Missing Manuscript of Jane Austen by Suri James. This one is just stuck in my head. I read this in the early half of the year and just, I cannot stop thinking about it. I think it's amazing. I want to read all things that Suri James has written. I just think she's very clever. I think she writes like Jane Austen. I think she understands Jane Austen and, like, does her justice. So, like, this book is amazing. I will brave bitch about it till the day that I die. Also, I don't know if you can see the amount of tabs that are in this book, because there's a lot. There are so many more, but I could only do 3, and that just seems mean, because there's so many good ones. So the next question is, what is your favorite thing about reading? And for me, I think that is being exposed to different things that I wouldn't be exposed to in my normal day-to-day life, whether that is people from different cultures than me, people from different races than me, people with different sexualities and gender orientations, you know, all of that, different disabilities that I don't have, things like that, where you wouldn't know that on, like, maybe you wouldn't be exposed to that in your day-to-day life, but reading about it or reading a book from the perspective of someone who is in one of those things or has one of those things that I mentioned, you get exposed to more, and so it kind of creates this understanding. And even fantasy, parts of fantasy are based on real life things, so even though the world might be completely made up, some of the issues that they're going through may not be, or aren't made up, and it can, like, just expose you to some things that you would never have thought about, or, like, you don't know what those things are like because you've never had to experience those things, and this is a way for you to get a better understanding of them. I hope that made sense, but that's kind of one of the things that I've really loved, at least recently, that's really stuck out about, like, why I like reading so much. I mean, reading's amazing, but, like, you learn so much. So the next question is, what is an underrated book or book series that you love? So I have 2 answers, because I couldn't choose. We're shocked. But the first one shouldn't be surprising, because I feel like I've talked about it a lot recently, and that is Roaring by Lindsay Duga. This is a fantasy book that came out this year, and I read the e-arc and loved it, and had to get myself a physical copy, because it's amazing. It's about sirens, and people are after a siren, and so she teams up with this FBI-type investigative man who was originally after her. But then they kind of get on the same side, and also there is love, and it's cute. And, ooh, yes, I just really like the world. I think it's really creative. I like the scientific side of all these mythical creatures that exist in this world. Fabulous. So that, I feel like, is underrated. I feel like I've only ever seen one person talk about it, so I really love this one. And then I also feel like Moxie by Jennifer Matu is super underrated, mostly because, like, maybe I'm late to the game, but I feel like I heard of this a little bit when it first came out, and then I didn't hear anything since then. And this is a book that my best friend Lauren picked for me when I did my first TBR basket, and absolutely fell in love with it. And I feel like no one talks about this, and I think it's amazing, and people should talk about it. It's a very feminist book that takes place in a high school that is not feminist in the slightest, and it's these girls who basically are like, screw the patriarchy, I'm gonna stand up for myself. And it starts with our main girl, Viv, who kind of secretly starts off a feminist movement in her school without really meaning to, and it's great. I loved it. So yeah, those are my 2 underrated answers. Alright, the next one is, who are your favorite booktubers to watch? So I've kind of separated this into two different sections, and that is large booktubers and small booktubers. Now what I'm saying is small booktubers are people who have under 5K, and large booktubers are people who have like pretty close to 20,000 and above. Obviously all of these will be linked below. Let me just put that out there. So I will start with my small humans that I really love. Obviously Teresa, who tagged me and created this video, because like she is the sweetest human being ever, and like y'all need to be friends with her because like she's amazing. Serena from Wandering Mind, I absolutely love her. She's also adorably sweet, and we've been reading the series Unfortunate Events together, and it's been really, really fun, and I'm kind of gonna be sad when that's over. But she's so fun. I love talking to her about that, so I love watching her as well. Maddie from Book Browsing Blog, I think, is really awesome too. We have very similar reading tastes, and she's really obsessed with musicals, and I did her musical tag not too long ago, but she is growing on YouTube and she deserves it, and I think she's amazing. And last one I'm going to mention in this kind of smaller booktube section is Victoria Mann, who is really active on Twitter. That's where I first saw her, and then she has a booktube channel that she's, you know, come out with a few things. She's amazing. She has this energy that is so much fun and yet so chaotic, and it's fabulous, like all wrapped in one, and she's so much fun. Her fall video that she just did a fall tag like not too long ago, it's like my break from reality. I watch her when I need a break from reality because she's so much fun. So highly recommend her as well. And then the larger booktubers, I feel like none of these are going to be surprising. I watch Becca from Becca in the Books. I think she's just really captivating to watch, and I really like her TBR game, and her reading tastes always give me great recommendations. Another bigger booktuber that I love to watch is Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin. I feel like we should be shocked by that because, you know, I'm doing Believe-a-thon this month and have. Also, he's just great. But he's like my middle grade guy. He's just really fun to watch as well, but he also gives really, really good middle grade recommendations. So you get good recommendations, but you also have a very enjoyable time watching him. It's just the perfect package, really. Another person that I love watching is Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction. She gives me all of the fairy tale cozy vibes that, like, yes, she and I are very similar on a lot of our reading tastes. She really likes mythology and folk tales and stuff like that, so a lot of her recommendations I trust because we have very similar reading tastes. I also really, really love Book Roast, G from Book Roast. She is incredible. She's one of the reasons, like, I started watching her channel and then decided to start my own booktube channel. She's just fun. She gives me like honest, real vibes. Like, I feel like everything with her is 100% genuine, and she's such a genuinely nice human being. I just love watching her stuff. And then obviously Jessie from Bow Ties and Books is amazing. I love watching their channel. There's something about them that I feel like I see a whole lot of new things that I would never have seen, and a whole lot of book recommendations that I would never have seen. And so I really, really enjoy watching their videos as well. So that's just a quick glance at some of the people that I watched the most. There are so many more booktubers out there that I watch, but that's just kind of like a small chunk, if you will. The next question is, what book character are you most like, or a combination of them? And for me, I feel like I'm most like, this is hard for me, because I feel like I couldn't really see myself in a lot of characters, but if you mashed up the main character from The Missing Manuscript of Jane Austen, Samantha, the one who finds the manuscript, not the main girl from the manuscript, and our main character Viv from Moxie, I feel like this person is me, because Viv was very reminiscent of like my time in high school, and Samantha has a lot of the same interests that I do, so I feel like if you meshed these two humans together, you would get me. The next question is, if your life were a book, what genre would it be? This one, I feel like if my life was a book, it would be a contemporary romance. Just because, I don't know, I just can't see my life being a fantasy or a sci-fi or anything like that. So I love the cutesy adult romances. I think they're amazing, and I think I got pretty lucky with the person that I'm gonna spend my life with. So I'm gonna say romance, because romance is just fun. Contemporary romance is so much fun. It's like my not guilty pleasure, but it's like my happy read basically. So that's what I'm gonna go with. And the very, very last question is your favorite Disney princess and why? So I have 3. So 2 of them have reasons, 1 does not. So the first one that I'm going to mention is like the one that I loved from childhood, and that was Cinderella. I was obsessed with the story of Cinderella. I rewatched that like over and over and over again. She was my favorite Disney princess. So I have like nostalgia attached to her. As I grew up, I really started to like Belle from Beauty and the Beast. I feel like because she's super bookish, I related to that a lot. Also the new Beauty and the Beast with Emma Watson. I love that version of Belle, and so like I feel like I I relate to her a lot. And then I also just really like Ariel from The Little Mermaid, but I don't have a reason why. I just do. I just really like Ariel. I like the story of The Little Mermaid. I like mermaid stories. I think those are fun. Siren stories, things like that. So it's always been like those 3. Cinderella for the longest, but for years it's always kind of been those are my 3 favorites. So that's what I'm gonna say. So that is it for this video. Those are all of my answers to the questions. Let me know if you have any answers to these questions. I feel like a lot of people that I follow are specifically booktubers. So if you're a bookstagrammer and you want to do this tag, you should do it. I tag you. You are now officially tagged. It's too bad you're now tagged. But I do hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below some of your answers to these questions. I will leave the questions down below if you would like to do this tag yourself. And of course, go check out Teresa's channel because she's amazing and also such a sweet person. So thank you for Teresa for creating this tag and tagging me in it. And if you did like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you want to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there as well, including my non-bookstagram if you want to check that one out. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!